All right, in this video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. It's not going to be an hour long, though, I promise. We're going to cover all of the tools inside of Photoshop. So, this is literally my wheelhouse. Joke intended. Um, so, I'll give you a little bit of my background on Photoshop, and then we'll dive into the content here. I've been using Photoshop for over 20 years, and I worked in the audiovisual business as a video engineer. So I would manage PowerPoints, I would manage images, I'd manage videos, etc. And Photoshop was my go-to tool during that time. And even when I wasn't doing audiovisual, I would use Photoshop. I built websites, I designed graphics, I designed websites. I just said that. I designed graphics. I just said that again. Lower thirds. I did print, which I normally use Illustrator for, but I use Photoshop to some degree. And over the past 5 years, I've been utilizing Photoshop for my courses, for all my graphics that I do, all my thumbnails, all of my lower thirds, all of my hold graphics for all my different videos of promo videos, whatever. Like I've used Photoshop extensively and I absolutely love it. Now, this is not a love fest for Photoshop, but it is my favorite tool, okay? It is my favorite digital tool by far. And so when I talk about the tools, I'm very passionate and very over the top to some degree because I've been using it so long and it just keeps getting better and better. And Adobe just recently added AI, which is why I wanted to wait to update this course because I didn't want to miss out on the AI buzz, right? So, because also when I make updates to this course or any course, I want it to have substance. I want it to matter. And so, when you're learning about Adobe Photoshop 2023 in this example, you want to have the latest tools, right? Because we're in the middle of the year. I think it's July. I don't know what month it is. It's July. We're in July, end of July. So we're halfway through 2023. And AI is going to be part of the present and the future. So it's only going to improve from here. Now, I'm not going to be utilizing AI in this example, but in the projects that we do, I'm going to integrate it in one way, shape, or form. So that way you can get kind of an idea of how it works and what is going to be coming down the pike later on in the newer version of Photoshop that's going to be launched out in October. And I'm excited to see what they have in store, like what's next. Because I think that artificial intelligence or AI will make Photoshop an even better application than it's already been. And I'm very old school. I'm very just click, 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 and do what you need to do. But with automation, with AI, it's going to eliminate a lot of that and make it easier for you, the user, and the student, not only to learn, but to do things quicker, okay? And like I said, they've improved this application so much over the past 20 years. I started on, I think it was before even CS1. They had Photoshop, CS, so that was Creative Suite, and then CS2, CS3, CS4, CS5, CS6, and then Creative Cloud came after that in 2013. So for the past 10 years, we've been on Creative Cloud. But the tools are pretty much the same as they've been since the application was launched. The only thing that's really changed is some of the functions, and they've just kind of done minor tweaks here and there. One tweak that drives me crazy is this, auto select. And you'll say, Josh, why does that drive you crazy? Well, I'll tell you why. And then we're going to show this example, okay? So if I create a layer, let's go over here and click on the plus sign, okay? So I create a layer, I grab the rectangle tool and I draw a rectangle, right? And let's change the color to black just so it has better contrast, right? So I'm going to grab that and do that. Okay, so let me move this around. Okay. Now, with the auto select layer on, I can click here and it selects the gradient, or I can select this. But the reason why I don't want this option available or on is because when I'm building a website, okay, let's say I'm doing a intense 50 layer website design, okay? When I select a layer, I want to be working on layer. I don't want to be accidentally clicking here and then it it's not part of my flow, okay? So I'm going to turn this off. Now, if you want to use this, this is more of an Illustrator function, okay, or feature. Illustrator is known for this. But the thing with Illustrator is it's a little more free flowing. The canvas is a little more open and you can move stuff around and there's a little more free flow to it. I'm going to save this document just so I have that saved. So I'm going to turn this off. Okay. Now let's talk about the very first tool here. And we have the move tool. Okay. And they give you a little blurb, moves a selection or a layer. So I can click on this now. And it doesn't do what I want it to do because I turned off auto select. But if I grab this right here, now I can move it around, okay? Now I like that because it restricts me from just going wild with this and clicking on something accidentally and moving around, okay? Because when you're laying stuff out, you want it to be stationary. You don't want it to be flex, okay? You want it to be stationary. Again, this is my old school talking. So if you're part of the new school and you want auto select on, go ahead and turn it on. But I'm going to fight you on it and say, turn it off, go old school with me, learn the fundamentals, then turn it on. Okay? We'll compromise. I'll meet you in the middle. Okay, so that's the selection tool or the move tool. Okay? Then we have the rectangle marquee tool. Okay? So we have the rectangle marquee tool, the elliptical marquee tool, which is a circle, single row marquee, and single column marquee. Okay. So all of these tools can be used for different things. Now, the cool thing about, for example, the single column marquee tool is I can put this here and then I can select this layer. And if I hit delete, see if it works. And then I hit deselect. Now it has deleted part of this canvas, okay? And whatever's behind it is going to bleed through. So if I turn off this layer, now I get kind of a white line here, okay? Now if I do that again over here, let's do kind of the same idea, okay? And I'll deselect. See, now I have kind of a natural line with this design. Now, this is just a random thing that I'm doing, but what it's allowing me to do is kind of create a center point, and I'll bring it over here just to put it kind of in the middle. Let's see here. Bear with me for 1 second as I'm... Okay, there we go. So yeah, that really explains the move tool and this tool right here. So the single row, the single column, what it does is it allows you to create another line vertically or horizontally with those tools with no background. So if you have the background on like this, it's going to be a different color and you won't be able to see it because it's bleeding through because you cut part of the background out. You know, it's like if you took wallpaper, put it up on your wall, and then you took a knife and you cut, and the wallpaper's already on the wall, right? And I just take a cut and I cut out a chunk of it, and behind it is a white wall, okay? So that chunk is showing, but everything else is on the wall that you want, okay? That's an example. Okay, then we have the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and the magnetic lasso tool. I'll just talk about the lasso tool. And when we do projects, I will review a lot of these tools. So you're gonna learn more about them. This is just an introduction to the tools. But this is the lasso tool, okay? So it's like a selection tool, but it's a free-flowing selection tool. So if I have some crazy shape that I need to grab and cover, I can do that, okay? Now, the other ones, The polygonal lasso tool is more of a precision lasso tool, but it's a selection tool. And then the magnetic lasso tool will magnetize itself or be attracted to a shape and try to grab that shape and select it as much as it can. You have to navigate it though to some degree. Like it's not going to just do it on its own. And that's the cool thing about AI is I haven't seen it yet, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities to have more flexibility with the lasso tool with AI. Do I know what they're doing? No, I don't, but I have a good idea of what they could do, and so we're going to be covering that at a later time, but it definitely is coming. So that's the lasso tool. Then we have the object selection tool. Okay. And it's really not good for this kind of example because it's better if you have like a person in the picture, you can select them and then move them around. Let's talk about the crop tool. So trims or expands the edges of an image. So if I click that, I can drag this to the left, drag that to the right, drag this up, drag this down, and I have more canvas, okay? And it keeps the background because we have a gradient. So I'm gonna hit enter. Hold on, let me turn off my volume here so I don't keep making noises. So that's the crop tool. The frame tool is a placeholder. So if I drag this out, and let's say I have an image, I can bring it in, and it will put it right in this placeholder. So this is good for building out websites, doing a web design. You can lay everything out and then drop the graphics in here to see how it looks. Okay. Eyedropper, one of my favorite tools. You can grab a color and then it will come over here in your foreground and background swatches. It'll be in the foreground. So whatever I do here, it'll show up right here. Okay. Now what you could do is you could grab an image from the web. You could do a print screen or a screen capture, bring it into Photoshop, grab the eyedropper, right? And then grab that color from that image and it will pop up here like this. You see? Really? It won't let me do that? Okay. Never mind. Okay, I have restrictions on my computer that I can't use the eyedropper to grab the color of this, which is bizarre, but that's okay. They're just trying to mess up my example. Spot healing brush. So it removes marks and blemishes. So again, this is more for a photo that needs touch up. It's not really for a plain background like this, but we will go more in depth in the projects because I'm going to include a photo editing project because I want you to mess up my hair and mess up my image and, I want you to really have fun making fun of me. Okay, it'll be fun. The brush tool paints custom brush strokes. So we covered this a little bit in the panel section, but actually we covered it a lot in the panel section. Okay. All right, next we have the spot healing brush. Sorry, the clone stamp tool. I'm saying the wrong thing. I think the spot healing brush is right here. See, I got the wrong one. So this allows you to remove marks and blemishes, which I've already talked about. We talked about the brush tool. The clone stamp tool paints with pixels from another part of the image. So again, when we do projects, I will dive deeper into this and show you exactly how to utilize a lot of these tools. So history brush tool restores parts of an image to an earlier state. Okay. The eraser tool, this is an important tool because you can erase, change pixels to the background, colors, or makes them transparent. Okay. You can do the background eraser tool and the magic eraser tool. So, I can't do it with a raster graphic vector graphic, but I can do it with raster. So if I turn this on and select it, it'll allow me to delete the background, which you can't see because it's hidden. It's the bottom layer, okay, as an example. Then we have the paint bucket, one of my favorite tools by far. And with this, you're just doing kind of a regular paint bucket and, whatever color you want. Let's see, let's do a new layer here and I'll paint it. Okay, it's gray, but I thought, oh, that's why. Okay, so I'll paint it black. Now that's our top spot. Then we have the gradient tool, which we've talked about. The 3D material drop tool. Again, if we were doing 3D projects, I would talk more about that. Then we have the blur tool, so blurs areas in an image. This is called a rack focus in the video world. So when I was doing video production as a video engineer, we would do a rack focus for a live event when we were presenting something. The reason why you do a rack focus is to give this bird, as an example, would be the focal point of the image, right? So you want to blur everything around it so that the bird is the focal point, okay, for that example. Dodge tool, so you can lighten areas in an image. So if it doesn't have good lighting, this is a way to kind of adjust the lighting. The pen tool makes and changes paths or shapes with an anchor point and handles. So this is a way to make custom shapes in Photoshop. This is not a revolutionary tool, but a commonly used tool in Illustrator as well. And so it's a very good tool to use. Then we have the type tool, okay? So this is the text tool. They call it the type tool. You can do a bunch of stuff with this. They have the horizontal type tool, the vertical type mask tool, and horizontal type mask tool. So you can mask text, put different effects on it, and have a jolly old time with that. And I love, 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 love the text tool. To say that I don't use it all the time would be an understatement. Okay. Then we have the path selection tool. Again, this is more of a Illustrator tool that they've integrated into Photoshop. Adobe, how dare you? No, I'm just kidding. No, the joke is that when I started using Photoshop, Illustrator was the dark side. And it took me a few years to understand that Illustrator was on the good side too, you know. And then we have the rectangle tool, which we used already, but this is a great example of another Photoshop, or another, not another Photoshop tool, another lovely Illustrator tool that they brought over to Photoshop to drive me crazy. And you'll notice that they have a path selection tool right below or above the vector tool. It's a rectangle tool, but I call it the vector tool because all these are vectors. And so it's just funny. It's an inside joke. I have ridiculous humor, but this is like the Illustrator section right here. So you can move this around. We can adjust the size of the shape. And there you go. Then we have the hand tool. And you'll say, why is this an important tool? Well, if you hold spacebar and you put, actually, if I go to the zoom tool and I hold spacebar, now I have the hand tool, okay? So I can zoom in. Why is the hand tool so important? If I hold spacebar and move this around, now I can work over here in the corner and fix whatever I need to fix, come back, work on this, and come over here and do that. So the hand tool is really handy, pun intended, when you're zooming in and working on stuff, okay? So those are the tools. We also have this area here where you can edit the toolbar, which we'll talk about more in the keyboard shortcuts video, which is coming up next. So we'll talk about all the keyboard shortcuts for tools and for other functionalities inside of Photoshop to make your experience as smooth as possible and as fun as possible as well. Then we have the foreground and background colors. These are set. Whatever you make them, that's what they are. And that, my friends, is the tools section inside of Photoshop. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. And I look forward to teaching you keyboard shortcuts in the next video. All right, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.